What's going on, everybody? My name is Eason, welcome back to another video, and today we're getting into defining political organizations. Topic 2 for Unit 1 of AP Comparative Government. So let's get started with political systems. And these comprise the laws, ideas, and procedures that address who should have authority to rule and what the government's influence on its people and economy should be. So in a nutshell, these include the formal and informal political processes by which decisions are made. And this concerns the use, production, and distribution of resources in any given society. So it does what is best for the people. An example of this is Iran with a theocratic system, which is where priests rule in the name of God or a god. In Iran, the main religion that is followed and supported is Islam. And laws in Iran must follow Islamic beliefs and law. Some countries have a constitutional system, like Russia, Mexico, and Nigeria, where a constitution exists, defining political roles, law, and ways for participation. A constitution may just be a legal instrument or set a weak basis for the government. For example, in Mexico, impeachment of the president says to exist through the constitution, but this constitution does not have a good description of how this process can occur within Mexico. The next concept we're going to go over is the difference between states and regimes. So when you think of states, you probably think of the states of America, like Oregon, Washington, Florida, and Alabama. But that's not how we're going to think of it in AP Comparative Government. The word state is going to be synonymous with the term country. So when you think of states, think of Nigeria, Iran, China, Russia, and all 6 of our course countries in this course. And then we have regimes, which is basically just a set of rules that we can categorize a country into. Now, let's look at the definitions a little bit more closely, though. A state is considered a political organization that combines a permanent population with governing institutions to exercise control over a defined territory with international recognition. So there's different characteristics, that categorize an entity as a state that they must have. It must have a permanent population. So people can't just migrate there, stay for a few weeks, and leave, and they can be considered a state. No, they have to have people there at all times. It has to have governing institutions, so it has to have sovereignty over itself. Powers and affairs cannot tell the state what to do or control it. It needs to have defined territories. It needs to have spatial extent and boundaries and recognition. So other states have to consider the state to be a state. And those are the characteristics of a state. And regimes, like I said earlier, are the fundamental rules that control access to and the exercise of political power. Well, I say something similar to that. Regimes typically endure from government to government, and they can be categorized as democratic or authoritarian. Now, with these two categorizations, which one is probably going to be the most free to the people? Yeah, you're right. The democratic regime. So those are going to have probably the most protection of the people, the most rule of law, the most granted civil rights and civil liberties, and the less restrictions by the government. And we can categorize our 6 AP Comparative Government course countries into these regimes. Nigeria and Mexico are what's considered emerging democracies. So what this means is that they were once authoritarian regimes, and now they are becoming democracies. And we're going to get more about this later. United Kingdom is a full-on established democracy. And then Iran, Russia, and China are authoritarian regimes. Now, something cool to know is that when we look at Transparency International, we can see that Iran, Russia, and China have pretty bad scores. So that could be maybe causation or correlation. Remember, causation is kind of hard to prove in comparative governments because of so many different variables. In the United Kingdom, we'll see the Scottish, Irish, English, and Welsh people as the dominant nations, with each of them having their own region inside the United Kingdom, like the Irish residing in Northern Ireland primarily, which is not a country in itself. Ireland is a country and it used to be part of the United Kingdom, but religious differences caused it to become its own separate state. In Mexico, we can see the Mestizo people, which has resulted over time because of migration and interaction between indigenous people, Spanish people, and Caucasian people. The Mestizo people make up most of Mexico and are considered mixed race. In Nigeria, you can find the Hausa people in the north, Yoruba in the west, and Igbo in the east. In Russia, we primarily see the Russians and Chechen people. Nationalism between the groups has created conflicts and previous war in the 90s between them, which we'll learn about later. In Iran, we can find Persians and the Azeri Turkish people. The number of Azeris are unknown since recently the theocratic government has avoided publishing statistics of ethnic groups in their state. They are considered well represented at various political levels, but recently, insults to the nation and suppression of their culture in the country have created negative views from these people. In China, we can find the Han Chinese and Tibetans, which, like Russia, have contemporary conflicts with each other because of nationalism and differences in their nations. For example, Tibetans are primarily Islamic, while Han Chinese is not. China has the highest percentage of atheists in the world residing in their countries, 67% of their citizens. And that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't watched the 1.1 video, go check that out. Go watch the 1.3 video. I haven't seen that one either. Please like and subscribe. It's free and it really does help me out. You can change your mind later on too. In the description, I have a link to a Google Doc with a bunch of helpful resources for AP Comparative Government. Really go check that out. It's pretty cool. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.